Hello everyone, Elias5891 here with another KTANE module tutorial. This time we're covering the Crazy Talk module. This one is independent of Edgework, so we'll be able to dive right in when we get to it. Now there's 5 on this on this bomb, and you'll notice none of them are on the back. They actually will always generate on the same side as the clock. And sadly we have a couple that are identical, but that's okay, we can work with that. The idea of Crazy Talk is I, as the diffuser, see things on my screen. I convey what's on my screen to the expert, who will look up the display. For example, this one says literally nothing. Now, if I can correctly convey that to them, they're going to look up literally nothing here, and that will give them an action, 1-4. The expert will convey 1-4 back to the diffuser, which means when there's a 1 in the second, you click the switch the first time. Second number was a 4, so you click it again when there's a 4 in the ones of the second place. So if my instruction was 5-3, I'd flip it down at 0-5, flip it back up at 0-3, since that's about where I was, so on and so forth. That's how the action works. The trick is conveying this one. For example, this one, which is the same one I just did, says literally nothing. But I have this one, which says literally nothing. I have this one, which says no, literally nothing. This one says, we also have blank and literally blank, and kind of related to those, the following sentence, the word nothing. There's some phrases. There's the word blank. I think there's one that's no, there's not one that's actually blank, but there's a lot of them that are intentionally ambiguous. So literally nothing. We'll do that one again since we've actually already looked at that one. Literally nothing is here. 1/4. So when this is a 1, I'll flip it down. When it's a 4, I'll flip it back up. This module does have a little bit of wait time on it sometimes. There's the 1. And the other was a 4. If you get either portion of this wrong, then you don't get the green light, I believe. Let's actually test that. This one is 5 words, 3 words, the punctuation full stop. Now, if you weren't looking at my screen, you heard me say 5 words, 3 words, the punctuation full stop. Maybe you think I mean that the text is actually 5 words, and those 5 words are 3 words, the punctuation full stop, which is technically a 5-word phrase. So, that's tricky, especially considering this is also somewhere on this list as an answer. Or, yeah, see? 3 words, punctuation, full stop. But this is not what I had. I had 5 words, 3 words, punctuation, full stop. Furthermore, the punctuation full stop is one that you can confuse with this one because it gives you a 3-word heads up. So how do you keep from getting slipped up on this? What I like to do is if I'm reading text only, and notice none of these have numerals in them. Some of them do, but none of these have numerals. I will actually say, okay, it says, quote, 5 words, 3 words, the punctuation full stop, end quote. Quote is nowhere here in the displays, so that's something that they know is me actually saying quote as opposed to reading off the module. In addition, the part that's on the module, I try to say it as monotone and flat as possible. That way, when I start putting some more inflection in my voice, put a little more emphasis on things, they realize, oh, okay, he's done just reading. Now we can move on to talking. So let's do this one, then we're going to flip because I want to see some other ones. 5 words, 3 words, the punctuation full stop. That is here. 5 words, 3 words, the punctuation full stop. That's 1-9. So 1 and 9. Let's look at a couple others. This one, the word stop twice. I would, again, do the same thing I did last time. I would say, alright, this one says, quote, the word stop twice, end quote. It's 4 words total. And I can throw in some extra information after I'm done, but I want to make sure that they understand they're not looking for the word stop 2 different times, or they're not looking for stop twice, which is here. I want to make sure that they understand what part is quote and what part is not. So let's pull up a different one. I want to get some with numerals so I can explain how I do those, and then you can make your own decision. Alright, notice they are blank, and you do get a strike if you toggle them before the light comes on. I don't know if that's because it actually is not a 0 or if it hadn't been calculated yet. I kind of assumed the latter, but I'm not sure. Again, no numerals actually. So this one would be, alright, crazy talk, quote, period, end quote. Just that one word, period. Crazy talk, quote, that's what it's showing, end quote. This one's kind of a funny one. Alright, this one, quote, left arrow, left word, right arrow, left word, right arrow, right word, end quote. All those are text. There's no actual symbols in there. Because as you can see here, there's some of these with left arrows and right arrows. There's some of them with words. There's some of them that are mixtures. A little tricky. If I have one that has a numeral, I'll usually specify before I do my quote that something is a numeral, and then I'll just do it as a word when I get to it. Hopefully, for example, I can show you here. Let's flip this around to a side that's actually got some crazy talks on it. This one I would say, I got 3 numerals, which I'm going to start with. I'll say numeral before each one. The text is, quote, numeral 1, numeral 3, numeral 2, 4, end quote. 4 is spelled FOR. That's another thing that could be ambiguous. FOR versus FOUR. So hopefully they would realize, okay, number 1, I said numeral 1, numeral 3, numeral 2, 4 FOR, so they're looking for number, word. I may even specify at the end of it. That was 4 things, number, word. Which in this case would be this one, which is a 1-0 flip. 1-0. This one right here. But that's the idea behind Crazy Talk. It's being able to communicate effectively. Like I say, quote is nowhere in this text. Numeral is nowhere in this text. So I like to use those two to actually indicate things. Periods, punctuation, full stop, space, comma, no, nothing, arrow, literal, spellings of things. All of those are in there. So it's really difficult to use those. Not even NATO is safe. Because right here, this is possibly my favorite one. November, Oscar, Space, Lima, Indigo, Tango, Echo, Romeo, Alpha, Lima, Yankee, Space, November, Oscar, Tango, Hotel, India, November, Golf. Let's actually, just so you can see, if I do that, November, Oscar, Space, Lima, Indigo, Tango, Echo, Romeo, Alpha, Lima, Yankee, Space, November, Oscar, Tango, Hotel, India, November, Golf. Yeah, they actually NATO'd out one of the other texts, which is, in my opinion, rather funny, and I approve. Other than using numeral and using quote or some other, communication that works for you and you're expert. The other thing to look out for is actually the ones that look like this, where it's just a whole bunch of NATO letters. Because you have this one, but notice here you have indigo, which is misspelled. If you look at your chart here it is, November, indigo, misspelled. But you also have this one, November, Oscar, Space, Lima, India, blah, 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 blah. This one has 2 differences, has the difference that instead of indigo, it uses India. Likewise, you have one more that is there it is. That is NATO. Lima, Echo, Foxtrot, Tango, Space, Alpha, Romeo, Romeo, Oscar, Whiskey, Risky, RISKY, space Sierra, Yankee, Mike, Bravo, Oscar, Lima. I notice if that was actually, that's risky, like I like to take risks. You also have one that's Lima Echo, blah 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 blah. Whiskey, like the drink, which is what the actual W is, versus risky as in taking risks. That is the only difference between those two. Likewise, the one November and November, the only difference is if it uses Indigo or Lima, or I'm sorry, Indigo or India. So those two especially be careful for. If you can learn which word is different, that helps. Otherwise, just be aware going in that that's one that you're probably going to miss once or twice until you actually see that difference and get to do it correctly. Anyway, though, that's crazy talk. Let's give you a chance to do one on your own. Let's blank out my game. And remember, as the expert, all you would need to do is give the action. I'm going to give you two. We'll see if you can interpret it correctly. We'll not actually worry about you solving it too bad. But we'll give you two. Make sure you can find them on the list. Ooh, actually, I'm going to give you four of them because these are interesting. Or slightly better than some of the other ones. The first one is the text quote, left arrow, end quote. That's your first one. Your second one is quote, the word stop twice, end quote. The third one is a mixture of symbols and words. I'm going to use indicator if it's a symbol. It is quote, indicator left, left, indicator right, left, indicator right, right, end quote. The last one is quote, or it has three numerals at the end. I'll say numerals when I get to them. It is quote, the word one and then the numbers, numeral 3, numeral 2, numeral 4, end quote. Now, I said those kind of fast, so feel free to go back, listen to them, pause after each one if you need to, see if you can figure out what toggles, what actions I should have for those. So go ahead and pause here, or backtrack, and prepare to pause a couple times, and when you get back here, we'll jump ahead to showing them and look at the answers. So here we go. I read the four here in this grid. So the first one was quote, left arrow, quote, left arrow, just that text, I did not get a chance to actually find this one myself. As a side note, and this is a little, perhaps a little cheap, but you can also do a search with the find function. 6-8 for left arrow. This one is the word stop twice, or I'm sorry, this one I did quote, the word stop twice, end quote, which is this here, 9-4. For this one, I did indicators to tell where my symbols were. Oops. No, I don't want a menu. But this one was quote, indicator left, left, indicator right, left, indicator right, right, which is this one, 5-6. And the last one was quote, the word 1 and then the numbers, numeral 3, numeral 2, numeral 4. So that would be this one, the word 1 and then the numbers 3, 2, 4, which is 4-8. So those are the answers you should have gotten. But that's crazy talk. Notice if you do mess up, I gotta wait and get back to the 4 correctly, or else I'm gonna get a strike again, which is not fun at all. And since I didn't get them both in a single toggle, I've got to start over again, which is just not fun. Also, you can blow up on it after it's done, so don't toggle and play with them when you're finished. You know, nobody wants to explode from that. But anyway, that's it for me this time. That's Crazy Talk. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, as always, leave them down below. Till next time, this has been Elias. Have a great day. Don't explode. Bye, guys.